Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Seriously, what was the strangest or most disturbing experience that happened to you?
Be me. Work in the middle of nowhere. The boss wants me to drive a work vehicle to the nearest mechanic over an hour's drive. The vehicle breaks down. Someone offers me a ride a few minutes later, but I decline, still trying in vain to get the vehicle to work. After that, the road is unusually empty. Even a shithole in the middle of nowhere has regular traffic. The sun starts setting. The nearest area with cell service is a 4-hour walk away. Start walking. Cloudy winter nights quickly become darkness. Use the phone at lowest brightness as a light. The phone died even though it was above 20%. Even if I do reach the patch of road that has cell service, I won't have a phone. Remember, lithium batteries don't like cold. Keep it tucked to my body the rest of the night. Walk miles of road using the texture of the asphalt and gravel next to the road to keep track of where I am. At some point I can hear frogs croaking. It's well below freezing. No way any cold-blooded animal is awake right now. After about 3 hours of walking, I hear something cracking in the forest. Driven mad by fear fueled by a mixture of hours in near-total darkness and fight-or-flight response. Running will attract attention to whatever is in the woods, so I just keep walking. Finally, hear a vehicle approaching, stick my thumb out and try to look as pathetic and non-threatening as possible. The truck drives past, but then it stops, does a 3-point turn and picks me up. An old guy picks me up. He thought I was a deer at first, but turned around to make sure. Never been more grateful to someone's self-doubt. Takes me to the nearest gas station. Offer to pay for his gas and buy him a beer in thanks, but he politely refuses. That was the one time in my adulthood where I felt total helplessness, and I still have no idea how frogs were croaking in the middle of winter. Turns out the guy who was sent to check on me after I didn't check in took a different route and passed me entirely. Thanks, boss.
Most paranormal experience I have had. I was sleeping in some old hotel from the colonial era. I had a dream that I was locked in a broom closet. There was a ghost or demon on the outside holding the door shut, and it was taunting me. Just ask my permission and I'll let you go. I would say no. It would taunt me again. It's not much. Just ask my permission and I'll let you out. We went back and forth several times before I finally realized I was having a dream, and I said aloud, "This is my dream. I can do whatever I want in here." So I pulled open the door. Nothing was visible on the other side. So I walked out of the broom closet and into the space occupied by the entity. Immediately, I felt like I had been dunked in ice water as my entire body tingled with that static, tingly, cold, supernatural feeling people on /x/report. I woke up gasping for air, and there was this roughly person-sized blob of blue light hovering over me. I didn't have sleep paralysis because I was able to lift my head up and watch as it slid back across the room and into the mirror on the far wall. I had a mild phobia of mirrors for about 2 years after that. I keep seeing shit when I wake up, but I'm not paralyzed and end up running out of the room. Not sure if my brain's spurging out and seeing fake shit, or if it's some sort of spiritual entity.
I was a freshman in high school and was getting ready for school at about 7 a.m. I was in my kitchen with my back turned to the hallway that led to our bedrooms, pouring a bowl of cereal. My parents were both still sleeping. As I pour out the cereal, I hear a very loud, very desperate female scream from directly behind me. My big ass spun around so fast and was frozen in complete shock. Of course, nobody was behind me. So I ran my scared ass down the hall and woke both of them up and was asking, "What's wrong? Did you just scream, Mom?" "Nope." It sounded like she was right behind me, dude. It changed my life forever, and I laugh my ass off when people say they don't believe in spirits. And then I have to relive this over again trying to convince them that shit was the most real thing I have ever experienced as far as the paranormal goes. A few months later, my sister said she heard a woman whispering in her ear, "What are you doing?" My sister said out loud, "What?" calling out to my mom in the kitchen, and the woman even answered her again, saying the same thing. "What are you doing?" She continued to freak out and said she was playing a prank on her. A couple years after that, I was having a house party with my girlfriend at the time. The next day, she was feeling shook up and told me that she saw a woman in my dining room sitting on the floor with her back against the wall, and her head was down and arms around her legs like she was crying or something. She said she would look away and she would be gone, but reappeared a couple times in the same spot looking the same way. I am completely convinced that woman's soul is trapped in that house. Very sad. She didn't have to scare me like that, though.
I got infected with salmonella when I was about 12. Due to the hormonal imbalance in my brain that the infection caused, I started having awful and very real hallucinations almost every day. Somehow managed to stay in school, but since I still get the occasional hallucination, so I'm afraid it made me a bit schizo. One time I had the most awful hallucination. I was in my bed, and it was dark, and I was suddenly staring at the globe, like the entire world. It was like having a bird's eye view of the entire Earth. And suddenly I see that all of the mothers of the Earth are throwing their babies off of the planet, sort of like they were throwing them off of a cliff. But instead of falling back into the Earth and perishing, the babies would scream and then shrivel up and die in the vacuum of space. I began screaming, "The babies are falling, what is happening?" and ended up putting my foot through a wall. It felt so real. In the end, it turned into a screwed-up family joke and resulted in most of my school friends stopping their association with me. To be honest, kinda fucked me up. The moral of the story is not to trust festival hot dogs.
A year-long psychedelic-induced psychosis. Don't let anyone ever tell you that drugs, and especially psychedelics, are not satanic.
I've always suspected psychedelics are demonic. I'm still willing to try them, but I want it to be after I've developed stronger spiritually and morally so I don't get overwhelmed or misled. Their defenders are always strangely zealous too. They want to share the experience the way sinners try to share their trauma and sin. If they help people with depression, that's great. But what if they also create a gap between the meaning people feel intuitively after the experience and their conscious understanding of life and the universe? What if this tortures them or makes them think substances are the only way to attain this comforting intuition? Which is to say, what if it's harmful in the long term to people who aren't ready for it?
Well, I don't know what they are, but I have communicated with Satan and have definitely been played with by demons showing me visions. Strangely, I have done shit that normal people are not physically able to do while on acid. I once went to a canyon for a camping trip and some of our group took some acid. I had the worst trip of my life. Never experienced anything like that before, despite taking lots and lots of acid in my youth. That time there were definitely some supernatural forces playing with me. I was shown a frightening vision of people surrounding around me to sacrifice me, and I had only one chance: to prove my worth to the world by using my gift. I felt really shitty about my skills at that time, so it kind of makes sense that this theme would come up on a trip, from a psychological standpoint. Soon I felt like escaping and I just ran for my life, a steep downhill slope made of sharp rocks, with just my socks on. The terrain is really difficult to walk, let alone to run downhill barefoot. The fact alone that I didn't fall down and die is miraculous enough, but I also had no holes on my socks or any cuts or anything like that on my feet. I was perfectly intact. My friends who were not tripping came running after me, but they couldn't keep up with my pace and they were sure I was going to get hurt. When they eventually caught up with me, I saw the nicest man I know looking like Satan himself, full power. I got so scared he was talking calmly to me and trying to say everything is okay, but I heard him saying things like, "You will be sacrificed today." I ran for my life again and escaped the place. I was shown how the world gets destroyed and how there is nothing pure left in the world, how dirty and fucked up everything is. I started to walk uphill, hoping I could find some calm place to ride the trip out, and eventually it wore off and I returned to our camp. I stopped doing psychedelics after this experience, and it still haunts me. That is not the only time that I had encountered this type of spirit playing with me, but the previous occasions could easily be put under mindset and other conditions, so not necessarily demonic or whatever. But that one definitely hit differently. I felt like I was shown the error of my ways, and on some primal level I still fear that what I witnessed that time is a prophecy. It has kind of helped me to deal with my own mortality and how to let go of things, but it definitely traumatized me to the core. Other times I have been on low or moderate doses of LSD and had actual conversations with people who have turned into Satan, and those people have totally changed and even acknowledged that change at a later date. One scene in particular is hard to forget, when I actually felt like I was channeling Christ, when my friend was channeling Satan, and we sat across each other from the table, and he was trying to make me scared, and I just ignored that shit and told him that love prevails. He went as far as to threaten to kill me, but I wasn't afraid. That was a strange one.
Surprisingly foggy morning minutes after sunrise. It was both cold and hot at the same time. I was about 8 years old. My mum's friend was dropping us off at our new home. 1 block away from our new home, we see a car that had crashed into a big tree. Mum's friend gets really curious and hops out of the driver's seat in the middle of the road to get a close-up look of the car. Hops back in the car completely silent. Whispers to Mum about something. Mum starts telling me to not panic because there is a man with his head laying on the steering wheel and he appears to be unresponsive. Everyone hops out of the car and they tell me to stay in the car. I run out of the car as soon as everyone reaches the crashed car. My friend's mum opens the driver's side door of the crashed car and moves the man's body around, which confirmed that he was dead. Everyone hops back into Mum's friend's car. Not a single car passed on the street throughout this time. I can't fully remember if we called for paramedics, but we fled the scene after discovering the dead body. We drive half a block up to our new house, go inside the house, drop off a few things which probably took less than 10 minutes, when we all went right back outside to check on what happened to the car, because we could see the crash site from the front porch of the new home. The car was gone, and so was the person who was laying dead inside the car. Paramedics never came, and neither did the police.
This was about 3 or so months ago, but pretty recent. I had this eerie dream that felt like I wasn't me, if that makes sense. I woke up on some cold concrete with my knees hunched together. We were in some sort of subway tunnel. There were probably about 50 to 100 of us. The atmosphere I can only describe as quiet chaos. People were murmuring if everything was going to be okay. A few young children were crying. Toddlers, I think. Seriously, the sounds felt real. Overall, people were incredibly panicked over the thought of nuclear war finally breaking out. I've never been in a subway before, but I felt like I knew this place. Small explosions tended to rock the loose debris from the ceiling, but people got used to it. Some of us had backpacks, some had just the clothes on their back. A few people had guns. Some had food. A general sense of order was established, and I had a small green bag with some shit in it. General office supply shit. Eventually, people and their families carved out their own little corners. The lights were there, but very dim. It was the strong, gross orange light you would see in an old construction site. I talked with quite a few people. There was this girl who camped beside me. She wasn't particularly attractive and was a bit of an Anissa. She kept wanting to go outside, but we wouldn't let her since she'd die from the fallout. Jody, I think her name was. Every day was the same. Wake up, mingle, eat what food I had from the guys with guns, read when I had light, eat again, go to bed. When I say I felt like I was waking up each day, I am not kidding. I quite literally felt like I was living in this environment for weeks, if not months. Eventually, food started going bad and we risked going outside. I was terrified of it, not sure why. When it came time to go outside, I woke up in my bed in a cold sweat. I seriously think I shifted timelines. I've had weird dreams, but that felt different. It felt like I was someone else.
They put a massive 5G tower down the road, so there are a number of them around the city. It was a 5G testing city. They did this shit where they used defense satellites. The city council said you're not allowed to defend yourself in 2015. Anyone with any defensive array will be targeted with a 5G testing van. People sleeping in tents outside died. Some who had stuff like an electromagnetic shield that's like a sign outside. That was a community effort in some cases. Activated carbon or fence made out of copper in a rectangular form found Faraday cage, attempts to carry, but people that slept in one died. The subatomic particles flung by 5G won't be stopped by it. Space blankets can be set up to stop the electromagnetic radiation, but it won't stop protons or beta particles. 3G test Hong Kong, they perforated people's brains in 2 neighborhoods by accident. 3G in America was just a revised 2G network. National news for one day, they made everyone buy new phones for no reason. The old 2G wouldn't connect. 4G is just 2.5G. Your router confirms it. So 5G as the first venture into this is hazardous for America. So they set them up all around the city eventually. Bounce shit back and forth. Then they make a big one. What's the point? They pushed a bunch of shit from farther north and west of my city to my city. Then they did a pass with the 5G testing van to put it in one spot. Then they erected a massive one. Within 2 days it was active. Fucking Seattle Space Needle shit. 6 ambulance sirens a day are heard from my backyard. Random gunshots, no cops. Maybe 1/3 of the city is evacuating. When they turned it on, there were 12 ambulance sirens that day, I heard. Some city council have resigned and moved to another city. Same anon. 1. A negative voltage is converted to a positive voltage when it touches it. Regardless of the voltage, it's converted to the positive voltage level, and anything more is converted to current. 2. Quantum computers use radio or microwave signals to rotate an atom, proton, and electron that is held in place with a magnetic array. 3. The Library of Congress has books written about how the brain works accessible online. The electrical potential of neurons comes up. Your brain works on floats. Current is a component as Ohm's law dictates. With resistance, it will determine voltage. 4. Crime has risen in tandem with the national 5G rollout. 5. Many of the plague deaths or side effects may be 5G related, as electrolysis may occur at low voltages and low current levels. You just need water. That stuff most of your body is comprised of. You will be the schizo shooting people during a home invasion attempt that never needed to happen. Even asymptomatic ones recently have experienced flashes of light. The rain is almost the only reprieve some will have. It does this funny thing where pathways are decreased, and across a distance the particles start going straight down, not to the sides. It's a mix of things. Over a short distance they just weave, like it drizzles, and right by your roof edge there is enough to drop. Often they just weave through. They don't go the speed of light. It's like maybe 30 miles per hour at best most of the time. Occasional 100 miles per hour ones. All the while people claim it's safe. The government decided to let the chips fall where they may. They cast aside any future children may have. They chose to let the population fall and lie about it as it happens in real time. I checked no national news about something unfolding over the past week in my state. City council guys resigned with no news. Lindsey Graham gets attention nationally, no news. He represents this fucking state.
This happened in the summer of 2000 when I was 12, near a small town in northeastern Afghanistan. There were no Taliban, but a little south there may be, so we were told to stay north from a specific point. Allegedly, one boy went too far a year earlier and he was killed by the Taliban. They cut his testicles off too. I don't know if it was true, or only a story to scare us because no one of the adults would say who the boy was, but we never went too far if it was true. There was a man in our town who swore to God he had seen a tiger once. Tigers officially don't live in Afghanistan anymore, and later I learned they were thought to never live in this region. No one believed him, but were still wary. We often talked about how cool it would be to see one, but didn't expect it. Bears and leopards were more realistic threats, but we hadn't seen them either. That day we were walking in a narrow valley with slopes and a small stream. It was a very familiar place to us. The bushes covered the slopes with some trees, but it wasn't very thick. I hope I explained it well. We were walking at the bottom when suddenly we heard a growl from the slope. Instantly we thought it was a bear, and slowly went up the opposite slope, but didn't see anything on the other side. We kept backing, but then something moved between the bushes and came out. It was a tiger, but it wasn't like the pictures. It was very skinny and limped. Its left front paw was missing and its body had large wounds. It limped to the stream to drink, and then away. We just stood still some time even after it left. I know you guys will say it was a leopard like everyone else. Only the guy who had seen a tiger himself before believed us. The next year my family moved out of the country, but I still think back to that tiger. Especially in hindsight, what caused the wounds? Could a bear do that to a tiger? I'm suspicious.
Be living in a broken-down van on the edge of the woods, reading by flashlight because there's no electricity. It's pitch black out there, and windows are not tinted, so I stick out like a sore thumb. Hear footsteps coming from the opposite direction of the road, from the woods where there are no houses, roads, just woods for miles. Shine the light out the window in the direction of the unmistakable sound of leaves crunching getting closer. I see nothing. Footsteps come directly up to the van. I turn the light off and stare in horror at the absolute nothingness. Lock the door and wait for death. Nothing happens for 15-20 minutes. Convince myself I am imagining things. Continue reading. After another 10 minutes of silence, I hear a woman giggle directly outside of the van. I turn the light off and wait for the weird stalker or hobo or whatever to leave. I never hear anything walk away. My friend gets dropped off at the nearest road. I hear her and see her walk up to the van. She gets in and freaks out because I'm so freaked out. We investigate with a flashlight and golf club and find nothing. Do some exploring in the area because what in the actual fuck? Walk down the slope where the thing came from. Find some weird Blair Witch type shit pretty close to where we are camped out. Most definitely would have noticed that any number of times I walked down there before. Extra creepy because it looks like some elaborate schizo shit that would have taken a lot of time, especially in the dark. Get very bad vibes, decide to head back because the sun is setting. Can't sleep, go to pee outside, staring into the dark abyss. Suddenly, I get very bad vibes again like a classic jump scare from the movies is about to occur. Look to my right and see something strange next to an abandoned shed. See a shadowy woman distorted like heat waves on top of blacktop in summer. Stare at it for an eternity until the image is burned into my mind till this day. Hear a crack that scares the living shit out of me. I realized it was a gunshot. Thing has disappeared. Elderly neighbor lady comes out from behind the shed, approaches me with rifle in hand, asks me if I saw anything. I say no and apologize, just wanting to end the conversation and leave because I am most likely squatting on her land. She looks back at the shed, turns and takes a long look at me, and just walks away. I stop sleeping there after that. Returning with a new girlfriend to grab the last of my belongings from cursed shed. The whole drive I am telling her how this place gives me the willies. Grab some blankets and clothes, whatever. As we are leaving, girlfriend needs to pop a squat. God damn it, okay. Hear those same footsteps crunching out of the woods. Look at girlfriend to see if she hears it too. You see in this shit.jpg. Nothing but darkness, but the moon is bright enough to where we definitely see a source of noise. We slightly jog towards road giggling, making jokes because it's a new relationship and I don't want to seem like a punk. There were 2 people who saw and heard what was there, so I know it wasn't my imagination. That road supposedly has urban legends up the yin-yang, most common being an albino colony, although I doubt it's connected. A couple of friends have told me about seeing weird mountain people on the opposite side of the reservoir nearby, but I don't know.
Be me, summer 2017, age 24. Wake up in a dark room on the same couch I fell asleep on. My other roommates are sleeping on the bed across from the room. We share Airbnbs. Feeling awake and focused, but I can't feel my eyelids. Maybe seeing with no need for eyes. Look around the room. This big porch window on the left of me has no curtains or blinds like it originally did. A dark night sky with no stars and a dark blue hue on the porch outside. Then 2 heads of shadowy humanoids pop up. They're looking directly at me, and I can feel it. Start feeling a rush and panic, but keeping myself contained. They then start moving fast to the door on the left behind me. The knob is being twisted hard and is shaking back and forth a lot. Panicking more, but I can't move. The door opens fast but quietly. The two dark humanoids start creeping close to me and pulling on my limbs. One is on top of me, moving their face closer to mine. They have no eyes, but I can still intuitively feel their thoughts and intentions. Start screaming and shaking myself awake. Wake up to a brighter room and the sun is out. Ask my roommates if they heard me screaming at all because I was worried about being loud. They said they heard nothing and looked at me like I was stupid. If it weren't for panicking, I would have stuck around to ask them questions, some kind of communication. But I feel like they discard any attempt and give no answers anyway. Just an odd experience.
Pretty much the most standard textbook sleep paralysis story I've ever heard.
I live in Southern California. Go hiking because there are lots of mountains and desert near a city called Julian. Take a large backpack and just walk. Keep going for about a day without any specific location. Easily 20 to 30 miles away from the nearest town or city deep in the mountains. Sun is down. I'm ready to set up a tent. All of a sudden, shots coming from somewhere. I can hear a bullet whiz right past my head. Immediately hit the floor and yell at whoever it is to cease fire. Doesn't work. Keep firing and ricocheting off of nearby rocks. I was certain it was more than one guy because I heard it coming from 2 or 3 different locations, pretty far apart. Thank God there is a boulder field here, otherwise I would have already died. I was hiding behind one of them, about the size of a small truck. Keep in mind, this is pitch black, and these guys were hitting way too close for comfort, like a few feet in front of me where they wouldn't be obstructed by the boulder I was hiding behind. Determined they must be using some type of optics if they are doing this without visible lights. Also determined that they probably aren't taking any survivors, and they might be closing in. Decide to shed all of my gear and book it out of there, hopping around on the uneven ground. Still don't know how I got lucky enough not to get hit, probably because of how far they were and because I was moving erratically. Still pitch black, and I hope to God my small headlight doesn't fail me. Otherwise, I'm stuck out here. Work my way up one of the nearby mountains and get over the other side. Manage to make it to a more wooded area at a higher elevation and keep running through all of the trees. Don't know if they are still following me. I never stopped moving. I stopped to catch my breath after the sprinting, but I had run for over an hour in a random direction. My guess is it might have been drug traffickers or illegals in those mountains.
Roaming around at night with 2 friends. Woods next to a rural area where we're staying. Tell each other some spooky stories to get the vibe going. Not walking too much into the woods, we find a road. There's a pickup parked there and we hear sounds in it. Pickup starts shaking a little. We giggle, thinking that there's people in the pickup. Approach silently to try and see inside the truck. Windows are foggy and we hear some thuds and moans. We laugh harder, thinking it's getting wilder. Sounds and shaking stop as whoever is inside hears our laughter. The truck door opens and someone in heavy winter clothes jumps out and dashes into the woods. Our mood shifts as we realize what happened. We're all freaking out and my friend decides to check the pickup. Inside there's a man twitching. Can't make anything out as his face is all bashed in. Call cops who tell us to stay there until they arrive. I just want to run, but my friends convince me to stay. We're all shaking like hell, waiting for the cops. The man in the truck stops twitching. Cops arrived and we spent the night in the department giving details. Eventually we left the town and nobody was ever caught.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.